Greetings and welcome back to Bible Talks with Melinda. You're probably thinking, this is a Christian channel. What is going on with this title? Well, if you're new here, welcome. I have stated on my channel several times that I've had so many dreams this year. Some of them have I've seen them play out in the news within 30, 60 days, which is just absolutely mind blowing. Um, this dream here, I wasn't going to share it on this page only because I thought it was I thought it was an off dream, right? When I had it. But I've seen some clips recently that has surfaced online, and I'm going to show you all some quick clips. And I felt the need to come on and share this dream to share a warning um, with with you all because I think it's urgent. Um, so I'll just get to the dream. In the dream, I saw, I'm not going to name the name, a person in a very high office that was standing on a podium, and he was addressing a crowd. And while he was up there, I can't remember the whole entire dream. He was talking, and then all of a sudden, I heard niggas and Nazis. Now, I woke up from the dream and I remembered that there was a news, probably 2 weeks before that. He was in the news because he was briefing some military people, and in that segment that the newscaster showed, they showed him briefing the military people, and he was like, "There's two N words that we just don't use in this in the military." And so I remember listening to that and I thought, what? And it just kind of went over my head. So when I had this dream, I went back and I watched that briefing again. And I looked it up and I saw that some people actually were offended because one of the words that they thought he was alluding to was, the word, niggas. And but one of the words was Nazi. I mean, I'm sorry. One of the words was nuclear, and I can't remember what the other N word was. But in this dream, I literally heard Nazis and niggas. Now, these are two words that nobody wants to be called. And I'm not saying that the guy is a racist. But what I will say, that he is a very complex man. I don't, this is not a political channel. I don't claim to be, for one side or the other. I just don't do that, um, especially on this channel. So I, what I, what I saw, I thought, wow, that is odd, and it stuck with me for a few days. And I said, Lord, what was that? I said, because usually when I have a dream like that, I know it's from the Lord because it's so crystal clear, it's so vivid, and I remember, like, the details of it. And what I heard in my spirit was the spirit of offense, and basically get ready because it's coming. Now, this dream was about roughly 45, 60 days ago. I can't remember how long it was, but roughly around that time. Since then, there has been a build up to the point where I feel like this thing is getting ready to blow. It started off with, and I don't even know if this is intentional. I don't know if this, I just think everything that's going on in the country with, the immigration stuff, it has allowed this spirit to fester. And people on both sides of the aisle, whether you're, black, white, person of color, a lot of resentment has been held at bay. It has been held, a restraining of some sort, and um, polite. But now that restraint is leaving.
Tonight was Halloween, as many people know, and I decided to dress up like everyone else does. You know, people are out there dressed like Satan and witches, and they're dressed like every horrible thing under the sun. Well, I decided to dress up as something, the most horrifying thing I could think of, which is the black woman, which
All right, so this article came from Politico. This was a right wing Republican group, and like I said before, I'm not political or anything, but it says thousands of messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. Um, I love Hitler. If you ever had a leak of this chat, we will be cooked for real. When do we start bullying dude? Boom, they're dead. He also hates the Jews. It was just a lot of, kind of, well, not kind of, just leaning back to, into what I saw in that dream. You would see a lot more type of talk about Nazis and, derogatory terms. They referred to black people as monkeys and watermelon people, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide, and lauded Republicans who they believe support slavery. All right, so here's another guy here. He is, I guess, some black militant. He is starting to, get more popularity in the black community, I should say. His name is Rick Matton. And he comes out with military uniform, and then you have all these people. He had a huge I couldn't find it, where he had some kind of huge march done, or he showed up to some march, and then he had these flags flying around, and then he was talking about, how people are Nazis and this and that. I'm just gonna play a little bit.
And so they're going to fight to try to hold on to power. And every one of us needs to be ready to bring that fight to them when the time comes.
Was this something from your childhood or growing up that inspired you to want to serve your country?
The Army, honestly, was always my backup plan. Right? When I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut. I loved my junior high school was heavily white, so dealt with a lot of open racism, a lot of fights.
All right, so in conclusion, is there some validity to some of the stuff that they say? Possibly. There are some issues that do need resolving. However, the media is putting forth the most extreme representation of that. Most people, these people don't necessarily represent the majority. They represent a minority. But, like I said, the media is putting forth the most extreme representation to stir something up, something dormant. That's what the enemy wants to do: stir something up that's dormant in you, to get you to react and to get you to side with an extreme, to create this extremist division. And what you're going to have is just an eruption of just emotions and, out of control. There issues? Is there targeting going on? Is there? Yes, there is. You have to be blind not to see it, right? But you can only be responsible for yourself. And so, I'm just the messenger. Like I said, when I had this dream, and it kept coming back to me over and over, I was like, Lord, get somebody else to do this. because it's a touchy subject. And if you struggle with, any aspect of this, whether you're offended or you harbor some type of, if you've been influenced by the media any kind of way, or people in your family that harbor things against people of other, another race, or whatever, ask God to remove that from your heart, because, that doesn't exist before the Lord. You're going to have to stand before the Lord one day. You're going to have to give him an account for that. All right. And there's things, offenses that have been made towards me over the years, and I've had to go to the Lord and be like, Lord, uproot this bitterness and this resentment from my heart, because I don't want this to be a snare to me as I, traverse, through this, journey of salvation, I should say. You don't want something coming up, while you're, running towards the finish line, and then something come up and snare you that you had deep buried in your heart. And the Bible says that that the heart is wicked, and who can know it? And so the only person who can search your heart through and through and purge you is the Lord. Because you may think, oh, I don't have anything, against anyone else, but ask the Lord to reveal it to you, to show you. And one thing I can tell you is that somebody is going to offend you. There's going to be someone there's going to be an offense in and then the true nature. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize, that I felt, a certain way about, this person or these group of people or this situation or what have you. All right. So I'm going to end the video here.